This year, our students took a redesigned TELPAS test. While we had several students passing the grade level STAR test, their performance in TELPAS held the majority of them back from exiting the program. Now, how can we have students who know content at an acceptable and even master level in their peers, but not know enough English? I did some digging, and I've narrowed it down to two areas of the TELPAS test that were mainly responsible for this: the speaking and listening. While our English learners have room for improvement in all four areas, in this video, I will dig deep into the new redesigned TELPAS speaking and listening parts and share with you what I've learned. But first, a quick background. A standard setting meeting was held this year in June in Austin to actually establish proficiency level standards for the reading, listening, and speaking parts. So they're brand new, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to change, but it does give us a baseline understanding of what exactly they're looking for. Something else they also changed was how much each section weighs into the composite score. So before, a student's composite score came mostly from a student's performance in reading. However, now each section of the test weighs an equal amount. So speaking and listening actually make up for 50% of a student's composite score. One thing I noticed when I was looking at the listening blueprint was that there are a total of 27 questions, and most of those questions are going to come from Category 2. The student basically has to have an understanding of spoken English. Speaking, however, has a lot more questions, 9 more to be exact, and both reporting categories are contributing nearly equal amounts to the questions. However, reporting Category 2, where students have to share and analyze information, weigh a little bit heavier. So what do these questions look like? Well, let's look at the TELPAS listening. The items are written to target each of the 4 TELPAS proficiency levels. So there are 4 different types of questions. The beginning questions, for example, might include a picture, and the audio says to match the picture to the audio. So which is the picture of a puppy? The intermediate question might include more complex picture matching. So it might ask the student to match a picture sequence based on some short audio. So how do you make a K? Can you put these in order? For the advanced and advanced high questions, they're going to include a video or an audio and have some multiple choice listening comprehension items based on what they saw or what they heard. So students basically have to listen, click on the correct answer, or drag and drop and answer for multiple choice questions. Now, whatever they listen to is only coming from an audio. They're not going to have the text as the stimulus or a prompt written on the screen. For the speaking, however, students will have the prompt both in audio and in text in front of them. And there are basically 2 types of speaking prompts. There's one that's the short prompt. It's going to be intended for shorter responses, and they're going to have 45 seconds to respond to this. The larger one is going to require more complex prompts, so it's going to give them 90 seconds to respond. Now, students are able to re-record if they're not satisfied with their first response, but they're only given 2 opportunities to record a response. And how the student responds determines their proficiency level. Now, whether or not the students are giving a short or a long prompt to respond to, the prompts are basically going to be graded either on a 2 or a 4-point rubric, depending on the item type. 2-point item types, for example, are fairly simple. Students have to make a prediction based on a picture or some sort of stimulus. Now, 4-point item types are more open-ended. So they have to use a series of pictures to explain a multi-step process. They have to compare and contrast, or they have to take a position on an issue and defend that position. Student responses are then graded against either the 2 or the 4-point speaking rubric. And I know the rubric is super tiny in here for you to see, so I provided links, and you can go to those links and actually look at the rubric for each of these. This is an example of a 2-point question. The student has to look at the map and basically give directions on how they would get to a place. This one, on the other hand, is a 4-point question. So the student had to really think outside the box about what the elective class would be like Give some pros about the class, why they would want to take the class, and really expand on their answer. Gives the student an opportunity to really show their English level proficiency. Notice that the prompt is an audio, so the student could play the prompt, but they can also read about the prompt. This one is also an example of a 4-point prompt, where students have to do a basic compare and contrast given 2 images. So what does this all mean, and how does it impact you? The thing is that kids are never going to be able to score advanced high in these assessments unless they are given the opportunities to practice in class. For some of them, the TELPAS test is the first time when somebody is listening to what they are saying against a rubric. So there are a lot of ways that you can help. For one, we can increase speaking opportunities in the classroom. Not just lit circles, but in the classroom, doing turn and talks, pushing kids to use the discourse methods we talked about. We can also push for use of academic vocabulary. Are they using the academic vocabulary when they're talking? And are they doing so within complete, accurate, and meaningful sentences? Are they agreeing or disagreeing? Are they able to state their point of view, describe, compare, and contrast? If we think about all the different ways that their speaking will be assessed, we will be able to include these opportunities in the classroom and give them a chance to score an advanced high.